In a cave in southern Siberia, researchers found something smaller than a matchstick, a sliver of bone, polished smooth, with a hole drilled through one end, an eyed needle, roughly 50,000 years old. It doesn't look like much. It looks like nothing, actually. But this object is one of the reasons you exist. Here's the problem it solved. For most of human history, clothing meant a hide draped over the shoulders and tied at the waist. Effective to a point. But draped hides have gaps. Cold air gets in at the neck, the wrists, the ankles. Wind finds every seam that isn't a seam at all. Draped clothing can keep you alive somewhere cold. It cannot keep you alive somewhere brutally cold. And around 50,000 years ago, humans wanted to go somewhere brutally cold. Siberia, the Arctic. Eventually, across a strip of land that doesn't exist anymore, into a continent nobody had ever set foot on. Every one of those places required something draped hides could not provide. Clothing sealed at every edge, fitted, layered, windproof. You cannot make that with your hands alone. You need to pierce hide without tearing it, pull sinew through in a controlled line, and repeat that hundreds of times per garment. That requires a needle, specifically a needle with an eye. Awls came first, simple sharpened points for punching holes. Humans had those for over 100,000 years. But an awl alone forces you to stop, thread the sinew through by hand, and start again. Slow, imprecise, not enough to build a real winter coat. The eyed needle changes the entire process. Thread stays loaded. Stitching becomes continuous, tight, and fast enough to actually finish something. The oldest confirmed example comes from Denisova Cave, carved from bird bone, dated to roughly 50,000 years ago. Similar needles start turning up across Siberia, then Europe, over the next 20,000 years. Not everywhere at once, in waves, following, roughly, the direction humans were expanding. Neanderthals lived in cold parts of Europe for a very long time, hundreds of thousands of years. And in all of that time, no eyed needle has ever been found at a confirmed Neanderthal site. They wore hides. They almost certainly draped and wrapped them, possibly pinned with something. What they don't seem to have done is sew fitted, sealed garments the way modern humans were doing by this point. This is not proof of anything simple. Archaeologists argue about what it means, but the timing lines up in a way that's hard to ignore. Modern humans get the needle, and shortly after, they start living in places colder than anywhere Neanderthals ever occupied. Beringia, the land bridge between Siberia and Alaska, gone underwater now for thousands of years. Crossing it and surviving on either side of it meant living through winters with no wood for fire in some regions, wind with nothing to block it, and temperatures that would kill an unprotected human in an hour. People did it anyway, multiple times across thousands of years, in bands small enough that a single bad winter could have ended the whole group. The clothing is why they didn't end. Fitted trousers, sealed boots, hooded, layered coats, sinew-sewn seams tight enough to trap body heat instead of leaking it. Every part of that depends on one small tool, a sliver of bone with a hole in it. Once humans had it, geography stopped being the limit. The needle didn't just make people warmer, it opened the entire northern half of the planet, and eventually, an entire second continent. Nobody knows the name of the person who drilled that first hole through a piece of bone in a cave in Siberia. There's no monument to them. Most of what they made has rotted away completely. Sinew and hide don't survive 50,000 years. Only the needle itself sometimes does, if you're lucky, if the cave floor is right. But every human being who has ever lived somewhere the sun disappears for months at a time, wrapped in something built to keep the cold out completely, owes something to that one small object. It's still basically the same tool today, a point, an eye. Thread pulled through again and again until the gaps are gone.